cut off. We have volumes. I think it's whatever it is now, it's very much audible. Colleagues, we request those who are participating on this platform to also switch their mics off, and we will only have the video of a speaker at a time. We also have this platform currently taking place in this event taking place in different platforms. We are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and those who have got a link to also view the session, they will get it from there. Our program is very short. We will have the Honorable MEC, Umama Ubongis Tolemloy, who will then give us the purpose of the engagement. We will then allow a few comments from different stakeholders, where each will be given 3 minutes to make any comment. And then we'll also move to give to the Premier to give us a remarks and the way forward. And then we'll do our closure. Among us, we've got colleagues, we've got the Premier, we've got the MEC for Agriculture, we've got the DG of the province, Utawatela, and we have the Mayor of Majuba, Utawatela Ngubane, we've got the speakers of both the district and the local municipality. We have councillors present as well. We have representatives from the from the restitution of land rights. We've got land reform from road development, Babum Daweni. We also have Babum Ngai from community safety. We have the task team that is tasked to deal with various matters of farmers in the district, Ubaba Uten Mabiakulu. And we have the Honorable Premier Ubabu Zikalala, who's leading the sessions. So I request that colleagues, those who are at home, to also switch off their cameras so that we can have little or less interference with the network, and also to ensure that you increase the speed of your gadget. Only the speaker will set the video on at a time. I would like to take this opportunity and welcome Honorable MEC Umama Ubongis Tolemloy to give us the purpose of the engagement. I thank you.
Thank you. Greetings. Thank you, Program Director Ishoti Sibande. Greetings to the Honorable Premier. Greetings to the District Mayor, Dr. Ngubane, the speakers present, Speaker of the district and the Speaker of Newcastle local municipality, the DG representing the entire officials, specifically the stakeholders that are with us today, which is rural development, land restitution, also is being part of us, community safety and SAPS, and all other guests that are present, farmers, farm workers, and all stakeholders and distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor to be part of this collaborative effort to fight the scourge of crime in the farming sector of KwaZulu-Natal province towards achieving a community-based social cohesion. The killings of farmers in the country has been a thorn at the heart of many communities, but more particularly in the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. There have been several incidents reported about the killing of farmers. There are also some cases have not been concluded until today due to the lack of sufficient evidence gathered to apprehend and convict the perpetrators. This has brought no comfort to the growing number of families that have fallen victims of farm killings. When justice is slow and people are suffering, hate is born. Hate is spiritual and it is neither human nor race issue. This is why it never dies. Since the time immemorial, people have harbored the spirit of hate and even killing within their families, race, and especially loved ones. Hate is like immoral. it will give itself to any cause in a hope to satisfy its very lustful and unequivocal pit of greed. Hate is like a chameleon, a master of camouflage. When necessary, it will be green with envy or hot red with passion, fiery or insidious and dark light, storm clouds. When it suits it, it can be convening and murderous. However, when it's lost all its inhibition, it is bold, rash, and act out of violent anger whenever the opportunity presents itself. The recent brutal killings of Nomadin farming couple Glenn and Evita has not only sent a shocking wave throughout the province of KwaZulu-Natal, it has also laid bare the menacing and the festering tension constantly engulfing the farming community in Nomadin near Newcastle and other areas in our province. About 3 years ago, the area of Nomadin came under the spotlight when tension between farm workers and farm owners, Lawrence Houston, reached boiling point. The escalation resulted in 4 of the farm workers shot and injured while protesting at his farm gate. Tensions were further aggravated when Houston impounded a herd of 300 cattle belonging to the local community under the charge of overgrazing. These incidents, however, are not limited in Nomadin, but are hotspots that are erupting in the different areas of the province and indicative of an indirect, brutal, but undeclared war between the farmers, farm workers, and dwellers, and sometimes with surrounding communities. It is high time that as government, we start viewing farm matters as a direct attack on government, and therefore perpetrators must be sentenced under the law of terrorism and treason, since their act betray government and affect the safety and stability of our country. We are here today in Newcastle to try and find a lasting solution for the protection and the safety of the farming community. The treatment of farm killing as a crime against the state is necessary and urgent. The sole purpose of this engagement is to try establish partnership between the farmers and those who work and or use the farms to mend relations and find common goals towards food security, as well as mitigating the crime which has grown intensively in the farms. Ladies and gentlemen, all farms killings should be regarded as equivalent to a crime of betraying our country, typical through unlawful use of force and violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce with the inclination to overthrow the government by sabotaging its most valued economic sector stroke pillar, which is agriculture. Farm killings are terrorism and treason against the state. All farm matters, regardless of race, should be treated as such. Any crime becomes terrorism when it is intended to intimidate civilians and the government. It is a treason when one betrays his own country. These types of matters are a grave concern in this province and throughout the country, whether perpetrated by our citizens or foreign nationals, as they affect families of all race and income groups. Honorable Premier, I'm of the view that these crimes must be classified as priority crimes to protect farms as one of government's most treasured economic sector, and farm workers, farm dwellers, and farm owners as our most vulnerable human resource assets. Regardless of their motivations, farm matters are a heinous crime that involves acts meant to inflict terror on a particular group of people through deadly and provocative means. We regard this agricultural sector as integral to the province's economic fortunes due to its contribution to employment creation in dealing with the issue of inequality and also growing our GDP. This kind of dialogue with stakeholders is vital to address whatever challenges or concerns you may have. We call on all relevant stakeholders to take a far more proactive stance in assisting the farming sector with the challenges that exist. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, protect all these pillars will enable the province and the country to grow economically whilst observing the social cohesion. And as such, this engagement was necessary in order to eradicate the killings and all sorts of crimes happening in the farming sector. We're hoping that when dealing with these matters, we'll be able to be open enough and find each other and be able to work with each other to ensure that we eradicate this scourge of killing in our farm community and we grow our economy, and so that we deal with the three pillars that we are faced with of unemployment, inequality, and job creation. Thank you, Honorable Premier, and the stakeholders for listening. This is the purpose of our today's engagement.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable for giving us a clear background in terms of the purpose of this engagement. I will then request, because this session is going to be a very short one, we will allow, before the Premier comes in, colleagues at the different areas who are participating in this platform right now and who have been invited through this platform to raise their hands to make an input. I see one hand from Donovan Williams. Do I have other hands? We intend to allow at least maximum of 5 hands, and then we'll allow the Premier to make an input and the way forward. Donovan, I only see one hand. Any other hand? If your gadget does not give you the element to ask through the show of hand, I will request that you can register your interest to make an input, and now through opening up your mic, and I will check your name and I will then allocate when to speak. Donovan is going to be the first one. Do I have any other hands? Let me allow you to make your input.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Donovan Williams. I am part of the Office of the Special Master for Labour Tenants, and I just wanted to thank the MEC for her words and echo her sentiments that stability of our farming communities is imperative and very, very important for our country. Unstable communities in the rural areas, in the farming communities, affects us all. And farmers themselves play a very, very important role within our country. So just like herself, we are also very concerned when we read in the mass media about violent actions, criminal actions that result in the maiming, raping, killing of farmers in different parts of the country. And we are sure that KwaZulu-Natal, which has a large farming community, is affected quite tragically. However, we regard them as criminal activities. So the sentiment by the MEC of calling it treason and terrorism seems to be taking it into a different dimension. It doesn't take into account the centuries and decades of systematic racism and underdevelopment of particular people within our country, especially within the farming communities. Poverty is a driver and push of many criminal activities in both rural and urban areas. And to now push for a crime to be regarded as treasonous, as against the government, like trying to overthrow the state, we think is a push too far. And it is making a difficult, tragic matter even worse. So we would ask for a rethink about that, without necessarily taking away support for farming communities and farmers in particular, because we must give them support and we must stabilize the area and we must ensure that poverty is addressed in those areas, like in all parts of the country. So with those few words, Chair, we want to thank the MEC. I'm going to thank her for her passion, but we want to caution that we must deal with poverty, but we don't need to make a difficult matter even more difficult. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Williams. We will allow other members to comment. You can showcase your video and raise your hand. In an event we are unable to demonstrate through your hand. Anyone who wants to take a bite and make a comment? All right, thank you. We must apologize for the delayed start. I know others have been asking what time to start, and I think as I've said earlier on, there were a few areas where we need to start from and study. But if there are no comments, I will then allow the Premier to make an input. And I think that is the reason many people opted to join and they want to listen what is the approach of the province in dealing with the scourge of this farm killing. Honorable Premier, in the absence of comments and questions from the invited guest, let me allow you to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, HOD Sibande. Greetings to Honorable MEC for Agriculture, Land and Rural Development, MEC Mloyi, the District Mayor, His Lordship, the Mayor, Dr. Ngubane, Deputy Mayor, as well as all councillors who are here, the Director General, Dr. Mkhize, and all colleagues who are here. Greetings to all of you who are connected in this platform and in all other platforms. We have taken an opportunity to come and engage with farm workers as well as farmers with an intention of understanding the root causes of farm killings that are taking place. I think the contribution made indicate three things. The first one is that this is a criminal activity, and I think all of us should regard it as a criminal activity, and therefore work with police to ensure that these activities are stopped, but perpetrators are brought to book and they get prosecuted and sentenced for this. But secondly, the issue is, it is said that there is a racial influence because of the background of our country. And I think Donovan raised that. I think that is an important contribution, and therefore we should work on dealing with issues of racism. This is not just an attitude, but racism becomes a system in which you treat other people and then it plant hatred. And I think we must address that, and ensuring social cohesion would be important in addressing that issue. The third that has been raised is the issue of poverty. Of course, poverty is affecting all areas, irrespective of whether it is a rural area or a township. But from the presentation made by Donovan, we can say that, as he highlighted, that poverty might be part of the causal factors. We need to address that as well. However, this issue of killings have made a number of people to raise various suggestions. I think among the suggestions is to increase the research and statistics on farm matters, to improve collaboration between and among agricultural stakeholders. And I think that will be important. Unions, as well as farmers' organizations, must collaborate and work together in addressing these challenges, but also the challenges that are affecting the sector as a whole. We need to continue to deal with the issue of land ownership and land restitution. It is not our intention as government to give people a financial compensation, but where there is a land claim, ours is to encourage people to get their land, but to work the land and use it as an economic activity. We need to ensure that also we improve on crime intelligence capacity as well as the investigations. Now, I think these issues, as having been raised, are issues that we will take up, and we will continue to ensure that police are playing their role in investigating, but also in ensuring prosecution. We will also take up the issue of ensuring we address things that are emerging from racism and racial divisions that are in various areas. We want also to partner with all stakeholders in this fight. Agri-SA, Kwanalu, as well as all organizations that represent farmers and those that represent farm workers do need to work together to ensure that these challenges are addressed. In essence, we're saying as government, we will continue to play our role and ensure that we monitor each and every case, but we will request that also organizations that are led by farmers and farm workers also collaborate and assist us. The issue of transformation must not be undermined. We need to work together. Then lastly, the issue of productivity, because the sector must be productive and we must see more of production in terms of food security. As the mayor was saying, it is important to strive for food security, but also for ensuring that we trade as the province and the country. I want to address the issue as I conclude, raised by the MEC. I think the MEC was not saying this is taken to be in terms of the law, we take this as terrorism or so, but she was emphasizing the extent and that this matter needs to be taken serious, and not that we are saying let us stretch it in that regard or through the law. But we understand what Donovan was saying. We need to continue dealing with these issues openly. So from our side, we're going to develop the program that focus on policy, a program that focus on ensuring stakeholders are working together and having dialogues on issues continuously. We will continue ensuring that the transformation and restitution of land continues. And I think those are key priorities, but we want to give you an assurance, all farmers, that we are here, we are with you, and we've heard your call and your cry about these killings, and we will do all we can to assist. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Once again, we really appreciate your participation. There were a few comments that were sent to us to respond. However, some are more of comments. Uvusi was talking about the symbiotic relationship between the farmers and the farm workers, and how farm workers are fairly treated by their employers. That also goes a long way in terms of improving the relationship. We also have a comment in terms of our platform here, where people were also making reference to the relationship between the farm owners and the farm workers, and how this can be, the relationship can be improved, and also the measures that the farm owners have built their own security measures to improve their safety was also made as a comment and a question. Before we close, because we can take one or two comments so that we can allow the participants to ask if they do have any comments. The Premier is still going to engage with the farmers who are physically in attendance at the meeting at Majuba, and also the farm workers who are part of the meeting for Majuba. Can I allow the comment, if members want to also make comments, or they want to make a contribution? I've got two hands, three hands. So one is Sibonelo will be followed by Kuos, and the last one will be Mondli. Okay, Sibonelo will go first, Mondli and Kuos will be Kuos will come second, Mondli will come last. Sibonelo first. Can I allow you to make comments? Thanks.
Siyabonga Mhlonishwa, siyabonga Premier. Sibonge na uNgqongqoshe wethu wezolimo, uSibonelo Madlala la eMpophomeni. Sibonge kakhulukazi uthando nisinikezela lona as farmers. Sibonge isikhathi nisinikezela sona ukuthi no nithi awuke nize nizokhulumisana nathi as singabalimi. Into nje yami ngizocela nje ukuthi we emphasize kakhulukazi ile yokuthi even nama farmers kakhulukazi lawo bebala elimhlophe, and then ukuthi nabo bakujwayele ukuthi basondelane nabantu abamnyama abasuke besebenzisana nabo nabantu abasuke bebakhelene, and then kungabe ngazuthi bona basebenza bona in silos becho ukuthi bazidistance kubantu ke pha bekwazi ukusebenzisana nabo. And then sibonge kakhulukazi Premier ngale ngeemphasis le ukuthi umhlaba sicela siwusebenzise. Besizocela nje kakhulukazi ukuthi siphinde sibhekeleleke kakhulukazi ukuthi umhlaba mase siwutholile, and then imhlaba eminingi ngala ngakuthina ngala ngasemgungundlovu, and then uthola ukuthi la imhlaba eminingi ibilele ingasetshenziswa njengamanje njengoba sesithi sifisa ukuyisebenzisa umhlaba, and then ama delayings akhona, and then ayasibamba ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sisebenzise masishane umhlaba, sikwazi ukuthi sibe more productivity as planned as farmers. And then so besicela nje kakhulukazi ukuthi silekeleleke. Lastly, and then Premier khona into enye bese platform afisa ukuyiveza nje kakhulukazi kwi-industry of aquaculture. Besicela ukuthi uphinde uyibhekisise le ndaba ye-aquaculture ukuthi angathi ukuhamba kwayo kakhulukazi kuthina abantu abamnyama kusenzimana, and then masithi siyangena kuma-applications akhona kuba khona ama-delays amaningi, and then kube khona into eningi eziphinde zilokho zisibamba. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mnumzane. We'll go to Marais. Of course, Marais coming.
Thank you, sir. I trust that you hear me well. So we wish to thank the MEC and especially the Premier, the Honourable Premier, for their inputs. It is most valuable and has always been valued by Kwanalu. We appreciate the address and we appreciate what they are doing. And on behalf of Sandy, who unfortunately has had another urgent commitment, we would like to again state that Kwanalu has always been willing to work together. We've always been there, as the Honourable Premier knows, and already experienced. It is our purpose to further agriculture, further food production, and further job creation in KwaZulu-Natal. And we thank the Honourable Premier and the MEC for their input. Just again, Kwanalu will always participate in means to approve matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marais. The last one was Bonello. Monji.
Yes.
Monji, coming. Yes, Bob, coming.
Okay. I'm also grateful that the Premier is actually addressing such issues, but I just wanted to point to a factor that I think is actually just being, I wouldn't say it's being ignored, but one of the issues that's causing many farm dwellers to actually become a bit violent and reactive to farm owners is basically most of the time they report their own abuses that they face on farms and they don't get any responses. For instance, there are a couple of cases that have been reported to some police stations and they haven't gotten any input, any reports from those police officers. And in turn, if you ask a whole lot of people that are living on farms to give you how they actually feel about the services that they're actually getting, you'd find that the response that you get is they no longer trust government institutions. And most of them actually want to take matters into their own hand. I'm grateful that the Premier is actually trying to establish a place where farmers and unions, and when you say unions, I know that most of the time it's being focused on farm workers, but we should not also forget about farm dwellers who actually don't work on farms, but also live on those farms. So from my side, I wish that whatever comes out from here, that these people are also included in that. And it's not just that we're saying that farm killings, and we speak about farm killings that are just happening to those against those who are farm owners, but we should also speak and talk about the abuses that are happening to people that are living on farms that are always getting ignored.
Mostly, I'm not sure. I think we will assume that you have concluded on your remarks or on your input. I don't see any other hand, and we have not received any comment on our social platform. So, there's a comment from John. Thank you very much, DG. There's a comment there from John Flanagan that says, we appreciate Premier, we appreciate your time. We want to engage and participate. How to ensure that the outcome of this engagement holds, I will assume, accountability. Historically, we had good engagements, but not follow-up. And there's another one from Christopher Papas, I believe is the honorable member. What resources will be allocated to ensure implementation? That those are the comments that we've received. Honorable Premier will come into those fields. Thank you, Honorable Premier.
No, thanks. I think firstly, the issue of treatment of workers is important. I think it was raised by Sibonelo, Mandala, but also Monzi raised it. The harassment of workers. I think it is important that we start an engagement with farmers on how to treat workers and to ensure that the conditions of employment are followed. in accordance and deal with the issue of harassment. And that must be stopped. And the issue of racism, as raised earlier, I think it has a great influence. It needs to be addressed. Two, I think we will monitor police stations that when there are cases reported, be it it's a case of harassment or the case of killing, that must be followed, and we must be seen acting. And that's why we would want to see police working on such things. Thanks, Mr. Thanks, Kos, for issues raised. And I think we will take up that. But as also Honorable Member Papas is asking, what are the resources? I think it is important that as various departments, we will always allocate resources from our respective departments. For instance, we will ensure that community safety and liaison prioritize policing and investigating all cases that have been reported. Two, we will ensure that we spend more time in dealing with the issue of building a strong relationship between farmers and farm workers. Three, we will ensure that we continue to look on best ways of providing services to people who are living in farms, because farm dwellers, as indicated by, I think, the last speaker, they also deserve to get services. And that becomes a problem because the conditions they live under are very challenging. And we need also to pay attention to that. So this is one of the things that must be taken up. We have a task team that we have established to work on these issues. And therefore, it is not just going to be a talk show that happens today and not followed. We would want to ensure that going forward, we continuously give reports on what we are doing. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. I think we have come to the end of this session, which was to give an opportunity to our distant stakeholders to engage and participate. There's a hand. Premier, there are two more hands. We only have 7 minutes. We will allow these two hands, and they will close our session at 10:30. Thank you. Gunesandla is available. Kwabe, I saw a hand from Kwabe, and the other one is Mr. Simon Gray. Those are the two hands. Do we have any other hand or question that you want to post? This is the last round that we will allow the hands. Kwabe will come in if your hand is still up, and followed by Simon Gray. Mr. Simon Gray, you can come in. I think there's a problem with connectivity with Kwabe. Thanks.
Hi, so I'm Simone Gray. I'm an attorney at the Legal Resources Centre in Durban. And I just wanted to firstly just say thank you for this engagement. I think it's really important that we have continuous engagements with government with respect to farm workers, farm dwellers, labour tenants, and also farmers. So just to firstly give a vote of thanks. But I also wanted to speak just a little bit to what was raised just now by the Premier with respect to access to basic services. I am the attorney on record for a particular matter which I think the Premier is probably aware of in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, which deals with access to basic services, that being water, sanitation, and refuse removal for labour tenants and farm dwellers for 3 municipalities within KZN. And I just we did receive judgment in that matter in July 2019. And I just wanted to draw the Premier's attention to that particular judgment. It's the judgment of Mr. Zabalaza Mshengu and others versus Mzinduzi Municipality and others, because this is a really important and useful judgment, I think, which needs to be considered by all municipalities within our province, because it really specifies that municipalities are required to provide access to basic services for farm dwellers and labour tenants on all farms within their jurisdictions. And I'd like to urge the Premier and all members of government to ensure that municipalities in our province are making provisions to supply those basic services to all of the farm workers and dwellers within their jurisdiction, and that hopefully farmers will work together with municipalities to ensure that those basic services can be provided on the farms on which the labour tenants and farm dwellers work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simone. Can I then allow two more hands since we are about to conclude our engagement in this session? Two more hands, if there are any. If there are none, we will then allow the leadership to conclude as we prepare for our second session with the local farmers. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, guests, for participating. Honorable Premier and the delegation.
Issue that has been raised by Ms. Gray, we will want to take it up. We will engage with municipalities, but in some cases, it's not just municipalities. Municipalities will be willing to assist and provide services, but you will find that they will be denied space by farmers themselves. And therefore, we need to also deal with that because, as she's saying, farmers, farm workers and farm dwellers have to get services. But on whose land? You get asked, this is my land, and that's what farmers would say. And then that's what would deny people services. So it is important that we understand each other, and that judgment, as important as mentioned, also farmers must understand that if government is to provide services, those services must be allowed even in farms for farm workers and farm dwellers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. We've come to the end of our session. Let me give our host, Umeya, just to give us a closing remarks, thanking the Premier and the leadership. Thank you.
We back to all right. I'm muted now. Okay. Sure. Okay. I would like just to say thank you very much, Honorable Premier, through the chairperson, Mr. Sibande, the MEC, the Deputy Mayor, the Speaker, DG, Dr. Mkhize, and the officials, all of them present. And I just would like to say this has been a really very eye-opening, engagement, which I think it's not necessarily the beginning and the end, but I think it's just an open session that would definitely be very much be encouraging that they need to continue to happen, especially around the time when we are still under lockdown. And I think it will be very much be of great value to all of us as well as the leadership within Amajuba district to really be in touch with each and every stakeholders' challenges that they are meeting, and some of which we've already managed to come across them today, which were very clear. And I'm sure definitely, especially as municipalities that are providing services to the communities, Premier has already highlighted even very clearly that it is very important there should be cooperation between the municipality, the farm dwellers, and also the farm owners, because that's where it comes to of great essence that we want to provide services to our people. And we should not want just to come to people when we just need a vote to them, and at the same time we cannot be able to provide services to them. So it is our mandate as municipalities to be able to do that. And based on what Premier has already said, I think we will definitely be in a position to engage with the constituencies that really are just facing challenges, that we'll be able to come across them. And I think with that, Honorable Premier, this forum that has been created today, it really has been a very, very important forum for us. And I think we will definitely take it from there. And I can guarantee that, we will definitely work it around, within the district itself, especially now that, the district development model has already been launched in our district. And through that process, and at the same time, through the engagement of the mayor's forums and all the forums that exist within the district, we will have definitely to engage upon that. Thank you very much, Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Dr. Ngubane, for your closing remarks. Thank you, participants at home. You may still send your questions. We will take it to the Office of the Premier and the task team to make follow-ups. The Premier is committed to continue to engage with all the relevant stakeholders to enhance our ability to deal with the scourge of attacks in all different formats. I thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Bambata, switch camera yako manje sese ahamba. Thank you.